In the opening verses of his text, the prophet Isaiah describes a specific vision of the future. He sees a time when the mountain of the Lord's house will be established in the top of the mountains, exalted above all other hills, becoming a beacon for all nations. This topographic map illustrates exactly what Isaiah was looking at. He was pointing to a precise geographic target: the kingdom of Judah, the city of Jerusalem, and specifically Mount Moriah. When Isaiah recorded this, the original structure on that mountain, the temple built by King Solomon around 900 BC, was already an established center of worship, renowned across the earth. After Solomon's death, the kingdom fractured into competing factions, and the Golden Age glory of the site faded rapidly. Then came the historical catastrophe. In 586 BC, the Babylonian Empire breached the city and leveled Jerusalem and the temple completely to the ground. This creates an immediate logical problem. If the mountain and the temple were completely flattened by Babylon, how could they possibly stand established in the prophesied last days? The destruction by Babylon meant the prophecy could only survive if the stone itself was raised from the dust. It required a centuries-long cycle of physical reconstruction. The architectural resurrection began in 538 BC, when the Persian king Cyrus issued a decree allowing the Exarchs to return and rebuild. By 516 BC, they had completed the first rebuilt structure, known as the Zerubbabel Temple. This split timeline maps two concurrent historical tracks. On top, we have the physical reconstruction of the temple. On bottom, we have the unbroken royal lineage of King David. According to the prophecy of the scepter of Judah in Genesis 49, this specific bloodline had to be preserved intact until the coming of the Messiah. Watch where these tracks converge. The physical temple had to be standing to welcome the descendant described in Numbers 24 as the Star of Jacob. This entire first era of rebuilding served a single distinct purpose. The stone and mortar were reassembled strictly to prepare a physical stage for the arrival of that prophesied descendant. In 20 BC, King Herod the Great initiated a massive reconstruction project on the site as a political move to win favor with his Jewish subjects. Herod poured immense resources into the mountain, expanding the modest grounds into a grand architectural marvel. This is the temple complex that was standing during the life of Christ. Historically, this period aligns with the first theological definition of the last days, the specific time window marking the coming of Christ, fulfilling that first prophetic horizon. This dispensation met a violent end. In 70 AD, the Roman Empire besieged Jerusalem, breached the walls, and completely destroyed the temple once again. The Roman legions dismantled the site, bringing a definitive close to that specific historical age. Because the temple was destroyed a second time, Isaiah's vision of a permanently exalted mountain remained incomplete. The text required a second, much later historical horizon to be fully realized. This brings us to the second theological definition of the last days, the distinct period of time immediately preceding the millennium. Look at this early photograph. After centuries of desolation, the mountain sat as an architectural vacuum. It remained exactly like this until initial modern reestablishment efforts began taking shape around 1947. The pivotal date for the site arrived during the Six-Day War, June 7, 1967. Israeli forces captured Jerusalem, returning the ancient site to Jewish control for the first time in millennia. Soldiers physically pressed their hands against the ancient stones of the Western Wall. This specific date, June 7, 1967, aligns into the sequence 6767. This numerical bridge represents a convergence point where the physical stones of the city meet the spiritual promise of the text, a moment where the earthly mountain and the heavenly vision are rejoined. This modern reunification established the mountain of the Lord's house more firmly than any era since antiquity. Today, the site operates as described in verse 2. As a global focal point of attention and reverence, all nations actively flow unto it. Isaiah's vision describes a city that survives repeated leveling, only to be raised from the dust. Each era of reconstruction, from the Persians to the modern day, moves the mountain closer to the final exaltation promised in the ancient text.